Hello there, guys, and welcome back to That Anxious Gamer. Today I'm going to be talking about the topic of whether you should purchase Starfield or Baldur's Gate 3 if you are on limited funds. Let's say you're a college student and you can only buy one. This is something that happened a lot to me when I was a kid growing up. You only have a limited amount of money and you need to know which one to buy. So I'm not going to waste your time, guys. If you want an easy answer and you don't want the deep explanation, go buy Baldur's Gate 3. I really think it's the better one in terms of value for money and the amount of enjoyment you're going to get for your gaming dollar. However, this entire video is going to be talking about the reasons why I believe this, as well as for which audience Starfield is going to be the better game. So let's actually break down the differences and actually see what you're going to be getting when you buy these games. Now, for both of these games, you're going to be getting basically a primarily single player experience that is a long campaign. One is going to be more sci-fi oriented, obviously that being Starfield, and one is going to be more fantasy oriented, that being Baldur's Gate 3. But what I want to express to you here, guys, is that in Baldur's Gate 3, you have both a multiplayer component, a four-player co-op component, right? Four-player campaign, basically. You can play the whole campaign with four players online, and you can do split screen co-op offline. Unfortunately, on Starfield, you're going to get a single player only experience. So at launch, the only thing you're going to be able to play is yourself, just one person playing through the game. Now, that's not a deal breaker for a lot of these games because honestly, probably most people on Baldur's Gate 3 is also planning to do a lot of single player experience. But it's just a well known fact and it's something you need to note. The bigger problem, I think, when you get into the cost analysis here is that Starfield has multiple versions starting at $69, $69.99, and going up to $100. So to play the game early, you're going to be paying up to $100, and even to get the base version of the game, you're going to be paying $70. This is, I feel like, a big jump over Baldur's Gate 3, which you're basically going to be paying $59.99 on, at least on PC. And this review is mainly going for PC players. Although console players, I think you can get a lot out of this, and most of what I'm talking about will not change between consoles and PC. Another thing that I think really needs to be noted is the amount of content you're going to get. So on Baldur's Gate, you're going to get between 70 and 100 hours for one playthrough of the campaign, approximately. And there's over 17,000 different endings. So obviously, a lot of these are going to only have small permutations, but the long and short of it is Xbox and Microsoft and game studios behind Starfield, Bethesda, have already announced that the average campaign of Starfield is going to be somewhere between 30 and 50 hours if you're pushing through the main campaign. Now, what you're getting in Starfield and what's actually good about Starfield is you're getting a world, guys. You're getting a world. Bethesda, I was there on Skyrim's launch night. I love Bethesda. I'm going to tell you right now, Starfield's going to be an amazing game. So if it seems like I'm slanting the case and just talking about Baldur's Gate 3 in a positive light and Starfield in a negative light, that's not what I'm doing here. That's not the intention. Starfield's going to be an amazing experience, but the Bethesda idea has always been focus on the world first and the characters and story second, right? Whereas I think on Baldur's Gate, you're going to have a very character-centric experience and you're going to have deep characterization. So a lot of that depends on what you like. Also, Starfield is going to be better, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, several years after the fact. As we've seen with Skyrim, oftentimes on Bethesda games, they're so open to modding. Modding is oftentimes one of the best things about the game. So you could get Starfield a year from now and get a considerably better experience than what you're going to have at launch. On the other hand, Baldur's Gate 3 has already been in early access for 3 years, guys. It's been since 2020. So what that means is that the game you're going to get at basically 1.0 launch is probably getting near the finished game. I'm sure they will add stuff. I'm sure things will get smoothed over, but it's been smoothed over a lot, guys. It's been worked on for 3 years, when they were in early access. So the likelihood is that the polish level is going to be significantly higher on Baldur's Gate 3 at the start than on Starfield. So that's something you really need to take into consideration. But let's just break down what I think is a very average playthrough and what I think will happen. So let's say you're playing Baldur's Gate 3. You're going to play for 70 to 100 hours. You may play, let's say, on average, two characters, right? Like, not everybody's going to play every race in the game. Let's say you play two characters. So let's go with a conservative 70 hours per playthrough for two characters. So that's 140 hours. So for 59.99, guys, you're getting 140 hours of content, right? And definitely by just doing different choices, we know in Baldur's Gate 3, you can basically have an entirely different experience in your second playthrough than your first playthrough. Let's say you're going to do something similar in Starfield. So it's going to go for, let's say, 30 to 50 hours or average 40. So that means you're going to be getting about 80 hours of content, but for $69.99. So obviously, from a value perspective, I think Baldur's Gate 3 has Starfield beaten quite a bit. Another thing that is important to note is because of Starfield and them teaming up with AMD, if you're running, if you're running NVIDIA graphics cards, you're not going to be getting your DLSS. Um, Definitely, I think Starfield may have a lot more performance issues, in my opinion. I think that's very, very honest and very reality. Like, I think it's going absolutely, you're going to have way more performance issues on Starfield than you will on Baldur's Gate 3, for sure. For the majority of people, that's just going to be the reality. What are you getting in Starfield that you cannot get in Baldur's Gate 3? Well, obviously, if you like the sci-fi elements, if you like the sci-fi aesthetic, you're not going to get that from Baldur's Gate 3. It's going to be a much more, Dungeons and Dragons oriented experience. It's going to be fantasy. It's going to be kind of character centric. Also, I think the combat and exploration, turn-based combat, I like it. But honestly, guys, I think the majority of people prefer real time. So Starfield, I think, is going to win out in terms of just the gameplay and exploration. I think you're going to get more of an Elden Ring kind of feel where you're going around this massive world, going between planets, and just exploring. And I think that's going to be a lot of what Starfield is. And as the game gets filled in with mods, the game is going to get better and better and better. So my opinion is Starfield may actually be as good, if not a better game, 2 to 3 years after the fact, but definitely on launch day. When we're coming up in a month and both of these games are going to be launching, absolutely, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to beat Starfield hands down. Now, what I want to talk to you about is because of the monetary practices and because of what companies are saying, I think, honestly, Larian Studios and Baldur's Gate 3, even though I have a better relationship with Bethesda, I honestly think Larian is something that you should support. You should be supporting these companies that are not charging an arm and a leg. They're still keeping the price at $59.99, guys. And not only that, but they're giving you so much value for your money. You need to really think about that. Like, you need to think about the gaming future. I think a lot of times now, as a 31-year-old guy, I start to realize that my choices make long term impacts, guys. Do you want to reward the company that is trying to save you money, or do you want to reward the company that is, still profiting off of what you're getting and maybe giving you a little bit less content than they really should, as they're expecting modders to fill in the game? Now, don't get me wrong. Me having a full-time job, I will be getting both of these games. That's what I would suggest, because I do think both of these games are worth it in a hour per dollar kind of sense. However, if you are on a limited budget and you can only buy one, that is why at the beginning of the video, I recommended going with Baldur's Gate 3. Wait for Starfield to be on sale. If you can get Starfield for, let's say, like $40 to $60, maybe even $30, but definitely in the 40 to 50 range, I think it's going to be a tremendous value. Baldur's Gate 3, I think even at $59.99, you're getting an absolutely crazy value. I think it's going to be this year's Elden Ring. I think it's probably going to win Game of the Year. I just think Baldur's Gate 3 is that polished. The more I hear about it, the more I learn about it, the more I think that it's not going to really be a very close contest, and this will be the case. I would love to be surprised. I would love for Starfield to blow me out of the water, just like Skyrim did all those years ago. And I will be getting Starfield day one. I don't know if I'll be ponying up $100, but I'll definitely be ponying up $70. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me tell me if you feel I'm totally wrong about this, or if I'm actually pretty on point. Yeah, crush the like button, crush the subscribe button. Going to have a lot more videos like this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.